I must my fiance's family agitate my sister to the ER. His reaction to this got him disowned and murdered him in jail. On the day I was such a happy with my fiance's family, tragedy struck and my sister's cornea perforated, putting her wrist going full blind. I texted my fiance, apologizing and saying I would miss her as I was the only available person to take her to the hospital. Well, he called me absolutely furious, demanding I get my sister a cab and go to his house for dinner ASAP. I told him that wasn't going to happen and that he was out of order to even ask me to do that. I then texted his mom and told her what was going on. She was really supportive and told me to stay with my sister Kiwen and let her know how the operation goes. A dinner can be rescheduled. Kiwen told Kiet. I also spoke with his brother who was equally as understanding. I stayed with Kiwen. Her operation was a success and I got her back home about 9 p.m. Her wife had ordered some Chinese and offered me some, which I happily accepted as I hadn't eaten since lunch. With that, I didn't get home till about 11 p.m. and my fiance Rob was already asleep. Rob was very short with me for days after, and we ended up having a huge fight where he told me that I should have put his brother and family before Kiwen. He said he was embarrassed going to the meal without me. I responded that I was embarrassed he thought I would put a meal before my sister's house. This led to another week of awkwardness between us before we finally sat down and we sorted it out. Or so I thought. 8 weeks ago, Kiwen got her graft, and so far everything's going really well with it. On Saturday, we went out for dinner with his family. His family were all asking about how Kiwen was doing, and I showed them a picture of the stitches in her eye. I thought that everything had gone really well until we got home, and he got really angry, saying that I shouldn't have brought Kiwen told her shoes, and I shouldn't have shown them the picture. I argued that they asked about her, and asked to see the picture. It ended with him telling me that I needed to put him and his family before Kiwen, or else we weren't going to work. His family would come before mine once we are married, so I should get used to it. I went upstairs and packed a bag. I broke up with him there and then. I'm now at my mom's house and he's been bombarding me with texts and calls since I left. Update 1. Once I decided to end things with him, I knew that the main issue would be getting him out of my house. I own the house. I got in touch with my stepdad's friend, who was a landlord, who then put me in touch with a solicitor. He didn't have time to see me in person that day, but we did have a phone call where he gave me my options. In the UK, we have something called a Section 8 notice. This is a 14-day eviction notice, and the solicitor said this would be the quickest way to get him out. However, he could try and contest it if he wanted to, which would lead to court dates and could take months. I asked him to draw out the notice and did it for Friday. The next day, I'd already made the decision to end things with him after work on Friday, so that he could have the weekend to sort through his emotions before work on Monday. On Friday morning, I texted Rob and asked him to meet with me at our local pub after work. He quickly agreed. Not only is the pub a public space, but my stepdad and a few of his work friends go in there every Friday after work for a few pints, so I knew he would be there to step in if I needed him. When I got to the pub, Rob was already there, and my stepdad was still at the bar with his workmates. I sat down with Rob and got straight to the point. I told him that it was over. I couldn't be with someone who didn't give me any support when I was going through one of the scariest moments of my life, and expected me to drop my family for his. It didn't matter what excuses he could come up with. I wasn't interested. I made up my mind, and we were done. He stared at me in shock for what felt like an hour, but was probably only a minute or so. He then started saying I couldn't be serious. We've been together for 7 years, and I was throwing it all away. I can never find another guy like him. I responded to the last comment with, I don't want a guy like you, that's why I'm ending it. I need someone who will support me when times get tough, not get annoyed that the world isn't bowing down to what he wants. I then handed him an envelope with the eviction notice in and my engagement ring. I told him I was giving him a few weeks to find a place and be out of my house. Then I stood up and walked over to my stepdad, who had bought me a much needed drink, and stayed with him until my ex left, still looking shocked. I knew he would approach me whilst I was with my stepdad, as he has always said, although scared of him. Once I got back to my mom's house, I had one single text from him saying he wasn't moving out and was going to contest the eviction until I come to my senses and got back with him. We are not over, was how he ended the text. I just turned my phone off and decided to deal with the legal side of things on Monday. There was nothing else I could do. Saturday morning, I woke up and turned my phone back on, and had another text from him saying that he would move out if I paid him $10,000, as that's what he paid towards the old boss he had lived at the house. He paid for half the electric, gas, Wi-Fi, and side package. Note, the side package is only as expensive as this because he has to have every sports channel known to man, so his half literally just paid for the sports channels. I'd already asked the solicitor about this though, and he assured me that I didn't owe him any money, as he hadn't contributed to a mortgage or any renovations at the house. It was just general expenses. He also knew that I left $10,000 just lying around. I was irritated by this and decided to ring his mom Sally to see if she could talk some sense into him. She was appalled by what I told her and said she would speak to him. She called me back about an hour later and asked me to meet her at the house. I met her at the house with Kiwen, and Sally said that Rob's brother was on his way back home and they would have Rob out by the following afternoon. She hadn't even spoken to Rob, just his brother, but she promised he would be out. The next morning I got a text from Rob calling me all the names under the sun for getting his mom and brother involved. I blocked him, and a couple of hours later Sally texted me to let me know he was out and staying with her. I thanked her and she told me that she would like to stay in contact, and I happily agreed to this. I went back to my house after work on Monday, changed the alarm code, and my stepdad changed all the locks for me. My stepdad is also arranging for a friend of his to install cameras around me outside of the house. This will be done over the weekend. Sally rang me on Tuesday, asking if we could meet up as she had some things she wanted me it all, so we met for lunch that day. It was at this time that she told me her ex was a controlling a-hole who was incredibly selfish, and the selfishness was what she'd seen in Rob for so long. That's why she had commented on him being like his father, but she had hoped that was the extent of Rob's attitude and he hadn't picked up his dad's controlling behavior, which to be fair he hadn't up until this whole episode. She had left Rob's dad after he became an alcoholic and made hands on her. To her knowledge, her ex had never reached out to speak to Rob or his brother, and they hadn't spoken to their father in years. However, she found out on Sunday night that Rob was back in contact with his father and had been for the past year. His dad had been putting lots of thoughts into Rob's head about how he is the man of the house and his family is all that matters. This had fed into Rob's selfish tendencies and had amplified them tenfold. Sally said that she had told him to find somewhere else to stay ASAP as she couldn't even look him in the face. Then Rob and his brother had a huge argument that ended with his brother telling him that as long as Rob is in touch with their dad, then he will have zero contact with him, even going so far as to tell him to spend Christmas with their dad, because Sally is going to his house and Rob isn't welcome. When Sally took Rob's brother's side in all this, Rob flew into a rage and said he would move in with his dad. He then left the house, but came back a couple of hours later looking like he'd been crying. Turns out that his dad doesn't want him living with him and basically said he could be on the streets for all he cares. He's now putting a roof over a grown man's head. Sally thinks that Rob is now starting to realize everything he has lost due to him listening to his dad and has seen his dad's true colors. Sally is incredibly disappointed in him, but he's her son, so she is trying to be there for him as best as she can. However, she still wants him out and she doesn't trust him anymore. His brother still won't have anything to do with him. She has also told him to stay the hell away from me as I don't need to be brought into this, and he has promised her that he will. Update you. I hadn't heard from Rob in weeks, but yesterday he showed up at my house. I had a key on my door, so opened it with that still attached. No way would I let him in. He basically told me that he had nowhere to live. His mom isn't speaking to him and his dad won't put a roof over a grown man's head. His words, not mine.